Hey, good day, Facebook. Nice to see you. I'm trying to set up my laptop so I can also keep track of the time better than I have been. It's good to see you all again. Boy, the lighting in here makes me look really red. This is kind of interesting. I'm in the bedroom that I've been staying in at my aunt and uncle's house in Lubbock, Texas. And there's no natural light really coming in except through these blinds right here. So this is just the ceiling fixture lights, little can lights that are providing this sort of rosy glow to me today. It's kind of nice. So it's been an interesting week since the last SNAP seminar. Those of you who got to see it or who have watched it since might remember that I was on my way to Albuquerque in a rental car because my RV was in the body shop. And while I was in Albuquerque and Santa Fe, I got word from the body shop that it might be as long as 6 weeks before they could finish repairing, hi Marcia, the RV. And so I was quite distressed coming back from Santa Fe and really worried on Sunday that I was going to be having a really, really long stay in Lubbock, Texas. And that has worked out not to be true. And so, you know what I want to talk about today on the SNAP seminar is the childhood treasure of acceptance. The last one that we find when we're 7 years old, if everything goes well. But I also want to talk a little bit about the childhood treasure of faith and the role that those two pieces of childhood wisdom have played for me this past few days, particularly on Sunday. Hi, Amy. Welcome. So, you know, a lot of the practice that I do now, my spiritual practice, is about accepting what is, not worrying, refusing to worry about anything. I believe that worrying is a very poor use of my imagination. And I think that divine creation, God, whatever you call what you think of as the higher power in this universe, I think what that energy would like for me to do with my imagination is to imagine only good, to imagine good outcomes, to imagine happiness for myself. And that's really my spiritual practice, is to stay as grounded in loving what is happening as possible, rather than resisting it or worrying about it or thinking that there's something wrong. And so when I heard from the body shop that they had to order a part from the manufacturer and it might be up to 6 weeks for delivery, my, of course, human ego instinct was to get all flummoxed and upset and worried and, oh my gosh, 6 more weeks, I'm going to miss my next speaking engagement in Boise, Idaho, which is in mid-June. Oh my gosh, I can't impose upon my aunt and uncle for that long. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And so my little human ego that loves to have a problem to solve and loves to solve problems kicked into high gear. I'm noticing I'm getting a signal that my internet connection is low, so I thought I might move to a different position and see if that helped. Okay, so as soon as I could, after I had my, oh my gosh, I'm so upset reaction, I reached out. I started praying. I started using the tools that I have in my spiritual practice. I reached out to friends. I asked for support and I got it in huge amounts because I have beautiful, wonderful friends and family who are so supportive. And so that really allowed me to disengage from the worry, from the telling myself that there was a problem to be solved. And I started just accepting that this is what's happening. And so I can get on board with it and kind of try to cooperate with the flow, kind of be with what is happening instead of resisting it or being upset or angry or scared or any of those things, using my imagination poorly. And so I shifted gears. Literally, it was sort of like grinding my gears up into a higher consciousness. And to say, hey, Gail, to say to myself and to the world and to that higher power, we've got this. I know this is fine. I accept that this is what is happening. And therefore, it is what is the right thing to happen because it's what's happening. And this is something that I learned from Byron Katie a long time ago, that kind of embracing and saying, yes, this is what's happening, instead of saying, I don't want this to happen. Sorry, I'm walking and holding the phone at the same time because I need a tissue. Instead of resisting and saying no to what's happening, to really embrace it and say, well, this is part of the adventure. I don't understand how this is part of my adventure. I don't know why it's important for me to stay in Lubbock maybe and not make it to my next speaking engagement, but that seems to be what's happening. So we're just going to go with that. And then I got real peaceful and relaxed, and I just turned everything over. I just gave it all up and said, this is what is happening, and therefore it's right. Hey, Barbara. And so I'm just going to relax and go with the flow. And so I started using my kind of most common prayer these past couple of years, which is, I surrender. I surrender to the power and presence within me. I surrender to divine wisdom. I surrender because my human ego is teeny, 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 tiny compared to the wisdom of the universe. And that's what I think children should be learning when they're about 7 years old, to embrace what's happening, not fight with it, but stand up for themselves to it, of course, but to embrace and accept that this is my life right now. And so I can find a way to say, welcome life, welcome adventure, or I can fight with it and I can be upset and worried and miserable all the time. So opening myself to that childhood treasure of acceptance was a big part of this, but also, in addition to accepting, it was to believe that that prayer of surrender, it only really works if I believe it. If I believe that I am surrendering, if I really am doing it, and if I really believe that there is a power and presence within me that has this, whatever this is. Hey, Sherry. Gail is talking about tapping as a way to help keep focused on health and acceptance. And yeah, that's a great practice if you're not familiar with tapping. I haven't learned a great deal about it, but I know it's very helpful to lots of people. So, the faith part of this, it's, I talk about faith being the treasure that we find as children when we're 3 years old. Hi, Stacy, welcome. Because at 3, that's when we first notice that the world is really full of magic and miracles. We stop paying attention to our own bodies, to our own ability to walk and talk, and some of the basics that we sort out during the first 3 years of life. And now we're all about being able to explore the rest of the world and see what there is. And when 3-year-olds first look around and notice that there's a really kind of amazing wider world out there beyond their bodies, everything for them is exciting. It's a miracle. They are thrilled with every bug and every piece of sparkly plastic on the pavement, for Pete's sake, because they believe that everything they see is kind of miraculous. They don't understand it. They're not logical yet. Kids don't get logical till about 6, 7 years of age. And so all they can do is experience the miracle, experience the amazement of, look at this thing, look at this part of life that I never noticed before. And that, I think, is a real value to adults, to reclaim that. A lot of us have lost that sense that the world is full of magical, wonderful, exciting things to be sort of smitten with and to believe in, even though they seem quite impossible. And so I think that that piece of believing in the impossible was an important part of this week for me too. Every time I move into that position, I get the low network message. So I got to sit back up. Being able to say to myself and to the world, I believe that whatever is happening right now is a part of my journey. I believe that divinity and love in the universe is bringing me every opportunity I have on this trip, from falling and hurting myself early on in the trip in January to finding out that I might need to stay someplace for 6 weeks when I don't want to. Hi, Janice, welcome. And you know what happened as soon as I did that? As soon as I surrendered, as soon as I released my worry, as soon as I told my puny little human brain to stop trying to fix the problem and let divine love rule the day, you know what? I don't have to be in Lubbock for 6 weeks. I don't even have to be in Lubbock for 3 weeks. I'm leaving at the end of this week. So it really, what I want to impress upon me today and share with you is the importance of holding on to the miracle of life that 3-year-olds see and holding on to the open arms of a 7-year-old, the acceptance that kids that age can say, if they have the right kind of tools and the right kind of adult help, they can begin to say, you know, bad stuff happens sometimes. That's just the way it is. Stuff that looks bad. And I think bad is really an appearance often more than a reality. But things that appear to be a bummer happen. And I can either be miserable and upset because those things happened, and I can be worried that they'll happen again, and I can talk about them all the time as the drama and trauma of my life, or I can just say, I don't understand why this is good for me. I don't understand why this is a positive experience in my world, but it must be, because divinity brings everything. Divinity is the creative force. God is the creative force for me. That's my belief. That creates everything. And so it creates the stuff that looks good as well as the stuff that looks like, what? Why is that happening? And I believe that this is the gift that a 3-year-old child could bring into the world if we didn't mess with it too much for them. And for a lot of us, what has happened is that at 3, we were told that our impossible dreams were really impossible, instead of being encouraged to seek them, instead of being encouraged to pursue them. We're told that they're not in our reach. And I think a lot of times adults who say that to little kids, who give them that message either directly or indirectly, they do it because they're not sure they know how to help. So a 3-year-old says, I want to build a rocket to the moon. And the adult says, you can't do that, you're too little, because they don't know how to help. And so giving ourselves permission to be that supportive adult for ourselves now is a big part of reclaiming the childhood treasures, doing the mining work as an adult to have developmental do-overs, as I call them. It's an important thing to do with this particular treasure, because we can have that same kind of peace and that same kind of joy that comes from remembering that anything could be a miracle. It's just a matter of reminding ourselves or reminding each other, which is really what my friends did for me this week. They reminded me when I couldn't remember for myself. And I remember for myself a lot, and I don't always. And I think that's true probably for all of us. So the childhood treasure of faith is that place where we can believe that everything that's happening is happening. You don't even have to say it's happening for a reason. It's just happening. It is. And so why resist it? Get in a fight with what's happening? It just doesn't make any sense to me anymore. And so the acceptance then pairs on top of that. That's the place where we say, okay, well, it kind of looks like a big old pile of dog doo. Can't really see how this is a good thing for me. And this is what's happening in my life. So I might as well kind of go with the flow, I guess is what it really amounts to. So I really wanted you to know that this work still works for me. This development do-over process that I'm in is continuous. I'm 65 years old. I'm still doing it. I've been working on reclaiming my childhood since I was 30. And I'm not going to stop until the day I die, because I know that I can keep strengthening my access to these childhood assets. I can continue to be a person who, A, gets along better with other people, B, gets along better with myself and my life, because I continue to do the work and I don't give up. So I want to encourage all of you to think like that about whatever work it is that you need to feel that you still need to do to bring your wounded child or your confused child or your scared child into the adult life that you have now, and help her or him. Help that child as you didn't get the help you needed when you were a child. Just be that for yourself now and provide yourself with the tools. So one of those tools, of course, I think is my book. So if you haven't bought it yet, I hope you will. That's available on my website or on Amazon. And on Amazon, it's an ebook. And I hope that when my classes are offered online or when I offer other opportunities for you to do this work, that you'll continue to come back. I really appreciate how people are watching these SNAP seminars, and I put them on I put them on my YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and watch any that you've missed or rewatch something that you watched before and liked, they are all on the YouTube channel except this one and last week. I haven't uploaded those yet, but I'll be doing that in the next couple of days. So have a fabulous, fabulous week and a great day today, and embrace everything that happens. Just love your life, okay? Have a good one. Mwah.